What is up, you guys? Your boy Elifi is back with another video. Now, with the off season pretty much over, I feel like it is the best time to start discussing who may place where within the NBA standings for both conferences in the next NBA season. This video may be very controversial as this league offers more parity and unpredictability because of the many trades and signings teams have made within this off season. Let us get started. Okay, so first things first, we have each tier, the 1 through 4th seed, the 5 through 8th seed, the 9th through 10th seed, which is the play-in position, and every single team that I believe will miss the playoffs. So every single team that I put on here are not going to be in any particular order, such as if I put a team in regarding the 5 through 8th seed, it's not going to be in order. It's just going to be in the range regarding whether if they're going to place through the 5th, 6th, 7th, or 8th seed. You guys should get that. But other than that, let us get started. So we got the Portland Trailblazers. Let us be honest, they're going to be placed in either the 5 through 8 seed range. In this all season, they really didn't do much to improve their roster. It's good that they have Damian Lillard coming back. His loyalty is impeccable, by the way, but this team lost a few integral pieces that were pretty good for them last season. I forgot who exactly they lost. They lost a couple of them, but they really didn't do anything to improve their roster in any given moment. So I really feel like this team is still going to be stuck in the same mediocre seeding range in the Western Conference in general. But next we have the Milwaukee Bucks. I have them being at the 1 to 4 seed. Obviously, they're the NBA championship. They're the NBA champions, for Christ's sakes. Like, that should be obvious. So next, we have the Chicago Bulls. This team next season, they're going to be very fun to watch. They added DeMar DeRozan, Alex Caruso, Lonzo Ball. They already had Patrick Williams, who showed many signs of promise, especially last season and especially in the Summer League. And they're pairing alongside Zach LaVine and Nikola Vucevic, who's already proven to be bona fide all-stars in his league. This team is going to be very great, very fun to watch. I still have them as the 5 through 8 seed range in the Eastern Conference due to the amount of competitive Eastern Conference teams there are regarding obviously the Bucks, the Nets, the Hawks and stuff like that. But this team is going to be a team that the Eastern Conference teams are definitely gonna have to watch out for. The Cleveland Cavaliers, I actually love this team. I like Darius Garland and Colin Sexton, Jarrett Allen. I love all those young pieces, but they don't have enough yet. They just need a couple more pieces in the near future to at least make the playoffs, I feel like. But for right now, I still have to that's the Celtics. I still have them missing the playoffs for this season. Give them a couple more years. This team is going to be scary to watch, in my opinion. So next we have the Boston Celtics. So this team did a numerous amount of things within this all season regarding promoting Brad Stevens to the new GM for this team. They were able to trade Kemba Walker to obtain Al Horford. He was actually on a team or on the Boston Celtics a couple years ago, and then they signed Dennis Schroeder for a very low price than what he's worth. So that was a W signing. This team, I feel like they got slightly better. Obviously, Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown are still the main stars, and they're still gonna get their buckets. But despite the signings, I still feel like they're gonna fall in the 5 through 8 seeding range. This still gonna be a very fun and great team to watch, but they're not gonna be good enough to make it past the 5 through 8 seed range due to the amount of competitive Eastern Conference teams that are in the Eastern Conference as of right now, obviously. Now next we got the LA Clippers. So this team, I believe, is going to be very interesting to watch. So you would assume, or you're probably going to assume, that I'm going to place the LA Clippers regarding the 1 through 4 seed range, but I'm going to place this team regarding the 5 through 8 seed range due to them. I mean, I know they have deep talent regarding the starting 5 and a deep bench, but there's one problem with this team, and that problem is the fact that they're possibly going to be missing Kawhi Leonard for an impeccable amount of time due to his injury that he suffered in the second round regarding last postseason. So missing out on your first scoring option, your main superstar, for a set due amount of time regarding possibly the majority amount of time in a regular season, you are expected to fall within the standings, and possibly when he comes back, this team could probably turn it up in the playoffs. But regarding NBA seeding sake, this team is probably going to be falling below the 1 through 4 seed range, or probably going to be placed 5 through 8. So next we have the Golden State Warriors. Klay Thompson is finally coming back to the starting lineup for this team. Stephen Curry coming off one of his best seasons of his entire career. Draymond Green's obviously coming back. Jonathan Kuminga and Moses Moody showed signs of promise in the summer league. James Wiseman may be coming back off an injury. Andrew Wiggins had an impeccable season last year. I actually have high hopes for this team next season. I actually have this team falling exactly at the 4th seed. I know that may sound crazy, but you have to appreciate this team, man. Stephen Curry, Draymond Green, and Klay Thompson, they proved to be a very great trio in the past. I feel like they still got more gas in the tank left for this season, and they also got Andre Iguodala back, who is obviously older but can still play a vital part regarding the veteran mentorship for the rookies and the leadership regarding the overall team in general. So next we have the Memphis Grizzlies. This team has a plethora of young pieces available on this squad. They have a very bright future with John Morant leading the team, young pieces like Brandon Clark, Jaren Jackson Jr., and more. This team is very exciting to consider those young pieces in general. But the thing about this team, they did downgrade their center. They traded away Jonas Valanciunas for Steven Adams. I feel like Jonas Valanciunas fit-wise is going to be better, or it was better than Steven Adams is going to be this season. I still feel like they're going to make the play-in tournament. They're going to fall at the 9th seed, possibly the 10th seed, either or, I don't know. But this team is going to be very exciting to watch, but I don't think they're good enough to make it to the 8th seed just yet. Okay, so I did tweak the chart a little bit to make it more organized. I added a west section and an east section to make it less confusing. So obviously I still have the Bucks in the same place, Warriors, every single team is in the same place. I just added an extra category to clear the confusion and the disorganization for this overall sake of the list and the overall sake of the video in general. But let us continue. So next we have the Atlanta Hawks. They made a very deep playoff push last season that surprised every single NBA fan in the NBA world. Trae Young had I would say a pretty historic playoff run for his first ever career playoffs of his overall short career. I have this team being a top 4 seed in the Eastern Conference. I feel like they got what it takes next season. The Miami Heat, they added Kyle Lowry. They're getting Victor Oladipo back, added PJ Tucker. This team is significantly better than what they were last season. I actually have high hopes in this team too, being a top 4 seed as well. Probably going to be the 3rd seed or 4th seed, one of those. But the Heat and the Hawks, watch out for this team next season. The Charlotte Hornets, they missed the playoffs last season. In the playoff, they lost the playoff tournament, so they were actually the 9th to 10th seed last season. I forgot which exact seed they were, but this season they added Kelly Oubre. They lost Devontae Graham, so they did add a few pieces and they lost a few pieces. They obviously still have LaMelo Ball there. Gordon Hayward is coming back off of his injury. I don't know if he's gonna be injured next season or not, but I see this team making a play-in tournament again. I don't see why not, or why this team wouldn't. I feel like they're good enough to be either the 9th or 10th seed next season, just like they were last season. If they're going to make the playoffs again, that's going to be something that we're going to have to find out in the future. So we got the Utah Jazz. They were the 1st seed, best record of the entire league last season, but this season I feel like it's going to be a slight drop-off for this team. 5 through 8. I don't think this team, I just have a feeling that this team is not going to be as good as they were last season. To my knowledge, they really didn't add any player. They lost Derek Favors, who is, in my opinion, a very great player, but I feel like this team is going to drop off a tiny bit next season. The Sacramento Kings didn't really do too much. I still have this team missing the playoffs. The New York Knicks, another team that surprised the entire league last season, being a top 4 seed in the Eastern Conference. They added Kemba Walker, but despite those additions, despite this team surprising the entire league, they're still going to be a top 8 seed, but I don't think they're going to be a top 4 seed this season. They're probably going to be the 6th seed. No, not the 6th seed. I don't think they're going to be better than the Celtics or Bulls. Actually, that's hard. Do you guys think this team is going to be placed higher than the Celtics or Bulls next season? Because these teams are really, they added a few pieces for next season, and I feel like they got significantly better. This team, they were, like I said, a top 4 seed last year, but the teams that they got to compete with for that top 4 seed, I feel like they get better as well. So it's going to be hard to see where this team ranks, in my opinion, but I still got this team for being a top 5 to 8 seed in the Eastern Conference. The Los Angeles Lakers, this should be easy. They added Russell Westbrook. Let me get my jokes out. They have the entire retirement home. I'm just joking. So don't get on me too much, Laker fans. Love the Lakers, like Kobe Bryant, but this is easy. Like I said, top 4 seed, no-brainer. The Orlando Magic missed the playoffs. That's a no-brainer. The Dallas Mavericks, they really didn't do too much. They basically have the same exact team as last season, where Luka Doncic was basically playing Superman by himself, barely getting any help regarding the entire playoffs. Still have this team being a top 8 seed in the Western Conference, but probably another first round exit if they don't add some more pieces to supplement Luka Doncic with more help. The Brooklyn Nets, when they're healthy, they're obviously a top 4 seed, just like they were last season, obviously. The Denver Nuggets, I feel like this team, last season they were able to make it past the first round without Jamal Murray and without another piece. Somebody else was injured. I forgot who was injured, but I think Jamal Murray is coming back this season. Correct me if I'm wrong. And Michael Porter Jr., I feel like he's going to take another leap within his game. So I feel like this team is going to be a top 4 seed yet again. The Oklahoma City Thunder, they're still rebuilding. That's my team, my favorite team, if you guys didn't already know. But this team is going to miss the playoffs, no-brainer. Now, the Indiana Pacers, this team has a lot of players on the squad that are pretty injury-prone. They have TJ Warren, Domantas Sabonis, Miles Turner. Who else they have on the squad? Who else? Malcolm Brogdon. Every single one of those players that I just mentioned, they are very great players, but they just can't stay out of injury circumstances. That's the thing with this team. But this team, they're not the best team. They're still a pretty great team, but I don't think they're good enough to make it or be a top 8 seed. I feel like they're going to be in the play-in position tournament just like they were last season. Whether if they make the playoffs or not, that's something we're going to have to determine when the play-in tournament and the playoffs begin for the next season. The New Orleans Pelicans, they added Jonas Valanciunas to the lineup in replacement for Steven Adams. Still have their entire young core regarding, well, actually, no, they lost Lonzo Ball, but they still have Brandon Ingram and Zion Williamson. They added Devontae Graham. Despite every single one of those additions and the players that they still have, I still think this team misses the playoffs. I still don't think they have enough to make the playoffs. The Detroit Pistons have Cade Cunningham, who is projected to be a great superstar in the future, but I feel like this year is going to be a development year for them. They still have a very young squad, still rebuilding, so they're going to miss the playoffs as well. The Toronto Raptors, they got Goran Dragic, right? I think they did. Was it Goran Dragic that they got, or was it somebody else? They have Scotty Barnes, which they drafted at the 4th overall. They did miss the playoffs last season, but this season I feel like they're not going to be as good as they once were. Like a few years ago, they were all the way like as the 2nd seed or 1st seed, one of those. But this year, I feel like they're going to be like a 9th to 10th seed. Fred VanVleet is a very great player, and now that Kyle Lowry is gone, he's going to be, I'm assuming, taking more of a great particular point guard role for that team. So let's see how things play out for the Toronto Raptors next season. So I just realized something. I can't have the Toronto Raptors in this tier because I already have 2 other Eastern Conference teams in this tier already. So I'm going to have to make a decision regarding which team should be the top 5 to 8th seed within the Eastern Conference. And that's hard because every single one of these teams, the Hornets, the Pacers, and the Raptors, I feel like they have a chance, or they could possibly be a top 8 seed within the Eastern Conference, but it's just a matter of which one out of the bunch is going to make it. And going with my gut feeling, I know the Toronto Raptors missed the playoffs, but I feel like they have what it takes in comparison to the Pacers and the Hornets to be a top 8 seed in the Eastern Conference. Probably the 8th or 7th seed, but they're still not going to be in the playing position. They're going back to Toronto. They were playing in Florida last season, so home court advantage may be more of a factor for this team. So I feel like this team is going to be a top 8 seed. They made a couple tweaks in addition to the roster. So let's see how things play out eventually when the playoffs come around for the next season. The Houston Rockets, another team that's still rebuilding. I don't know what they're going to do with John Wall, if they're going to keep him there or just dispose of him eventually or let his contract play. I don't know. But I have this team still missing the playoffs. But watch out for this team. I feel like there are additions that they made within the draft and signings and such like that. I feel like in a couple more years and so, they're going to be a pretty great team in the future for full of youth or future young studs in general. Jalen Green is definitely the real deal for the future. So next, we have the 76ers. Ladies and gentlemen, Ben Simmons wants out. He wants out of Philly. He is gone. He wants to go to California, ladies and gentlemen. So the chemistry is all thrown off, and Ben Simmons hasn't been traded yet. So it's going to be hard to indicate where this team is going to stand next season with barely little to no chemistry. Obviously, they still pretty much have the same team as last season, but they have to get rid of Ben Simmons soon, because if they go into the season with Ben Simmons still on the roster, that's going to be a very scary sight to witness, man. But now I may have to make a slight tweak to my chart, because I still have this team being a top 5 to 8 seed, so that means this team is gonna have to lower down back into the playing position, because I still don't think the Raptors are gonna be better overall than the Sixers. So that means, sorry Hornets fans, I like the Hornets squad, but I have to choose, man. I chose the Hornets to miss the playoffs because I don't know, man. It's a very hard choice. That's what's so good about NBA basketball. So much unpredictability and parity. Man, what do you guys think? Do you guys think the Hornets are going to make the play-in position next season? Or do you guys think they're going to miss the playoffs for another consecutive season? I feel like it's up in the air for that position in general, in my opinion, man. So next we have the San Antonio Spurs. So now, after the fact that DeMar DeRozan got traded away from this team, I feel like it is pretty much glaring that this team is shifting into the rebuild phase. They have a couple young pieces that I enjoy, such as Keldon Johnson and DeJounte Murray, but I have this team missing the playoffs. Respect to Greg Popovich, but the pieces around you guys, or around in the San Antonio Spurs organization, just not the same as what it once was. The Phoenix Suns, NBA Finals team last season, top 4 seed, very great team, very fun team to watch. I love CP3. Sucks that he still didn't get his championship. The Washington Wizards, they lost Russell Westbrook and replaced Westbrook with Kyle Kuzma, KCP, Montrezl Harrell, and they got Spencer Dinwiddie to fulfill that point guard position. Despite every single one of those additions, they did make the playoffs last season, but I don't know, this season I feel like they got slightly worse. Russell Westbrook for this team I feel like was a heavy force for this team to make the playoffs. He went through a stretch of averaging historically high historical numbers in general to push this team to the play-in position in general, and they don't have a player like that anymore. So I feel like this team misses the playoffs next season. And the Timberwolves, still a rebuilding squad. They have Anthony Edwards, who showed many signs of promise last season. D'Angelo Russell may be coming back from his injury. He was injured for the majority of last season, but I don't think this team has what it takes to make the playoffs, and we still need one more team from the West to make it to the play-in. I'll give it to the Pelicans. You welcome, Pelicans fans. So other than that, that's my entire list regarding the NBA standings for next season. I feel like I did pretty good. I feel pretty confident about this list. In the comment section down below, make sure you guys comment down your predictions, your own personal predictions for the NBA standings for next season. And comment down below if you agree with my list or disagree with my list. I'm open to the roast. I'm open to the controversy. I'm open to any types of criticism regarding this overall list. But other than that, that will end today's video. Make sure you guys like this video and subscribe to the channel. I will greatly appreciate it. I'm out. Peace.